Hello, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm just doing another monthly roundup on my work. We're into May now and I thought I'd give a quick update. So where are we? This month has mostly been really busy with lots of PR in the build-up to the release of the Judas Blossom. Now is the great push, really, to get the word out and tell people about it. Some people still don't know about it, they haven't seen the cover, so I'm doing a lot of interviews. I've done some stuff for a magazine, I've got some podcast interviews coming up, I've got some YouTube interviews coming up, I've done a couple of those already. I've got some articles to write. So there's lots of this kind of stuff going on. And one of the questions I had from the community tab was related to this. They were asking about pre-launch activities and working with an independent bookshop. So if you are in the UK, you may have seen that I was approached by an independent bookshop called Book, B-U with an umlaut K. And they have said that what we've done is we've made a special link on their website, and if someone in the UK pre-orders the book, I will sign it and I'll also personalise the copy of the paperback to them. They only ship in the UK. Now, a couple of people have said, oh, we'd still like to order it, and they're paying for the overseas shipping, which is obviously going to cost a lot more, but predominantly it's just arranged with the UK. If someone else does something in another country, in America or somewhere, then that would be great. But I was approached by the bookshop, so it isn't something that I sorted out. This was them coming to me. The other thing with pre-launch activities is you send out advanced reading copies. This is where the publisher produces a version of the book. Sometimes they're called ARCs, sometimes they're called uncorrected proofs. It's essentially the same thing. And this is a book where it doesn't have the final cover. You can't resell it because there's no ISBN, there's no barcode or anything. It's a nearly ready version of the book that you send out to reviewers and magazines and people like Library Journal and Kirkus and Publishers Weekly and other sort of mainstream press related to publishing, with a press release, with a bit of information about the author, and this is sent out by the publisher and sort of says, right, this book is coming out on this date, have a look, hopefully they'll do a review. I've had a review in from Publishers Weekly, I haven't heard anything from the others yet. But in addition to those, a number of people who were also received the ARCs were reviewers, booktubers, and so on. And a number of them have done reviews, they recorded them or wrote them down early at the time, and from May the 11th, which has just passed, they can start releasing their reviews, which some of them have done now. And so far it's been quite positive. People have been very encouraging about the book. They really like it. The fact that it feels very different, because there isn't anything else like this, as far as I'm aware, within the historical fantasy space. I've said this a couple of times, but this is quite important to me in particular. And I think it makes it a little bit unique within the industry, because this book is the most personal in some ways for me, because it's pulling on my Persian heritage, and the book is set in 13th century Persia, which is not Iran of today, obviously, but it's part of my heritage, it's part of my history, and so I wanted to write a little bit about that, talk about the people, talk about the culture, talk about the enormous amounts of history that there is there that goes back thousands of years that most people won't know anything about because it's not really their area, they don't live there. And so how much do you know about some of the other countries that are across the other side of the world? So the series gives me a chance to talk about some of these things, to share some of these things with people, but hopefully not do it in a way that makes it feel like a textbook. I still want it to be a good story. I still want people to have an adventure and enjoy the ride, basically, of the book. And that's my primary focus, is to entertain. I'm not there to lecture. I'm not there to explain things to people or pose political questions on the present by talking about the past. That's not what this series is about. So I'm very curious to see how readers respond. And at the moment, they've been positive because it's a part of the world they don't know much about, and they're enjoying the discovery at the same time as finding out more about these characters and having an interesting adventure with them. The other thing that's just happened is reviews are now starting to come out on NetGalley. This is another sort of preview thing where some people already had received permission and the publisher grants it to individuals, and they can then read the book in the return for a review, which is posted on NetGalley. And some of the reviews for that have started coming in. A number of people in the last few weeks I know have applied for copies as well, digital copies, and they'll start getting them as well. So more reviews will trickle in there and hopefully filter out. And then all of the blog articles and interviews and podcasts will start coming out in June and very early July. That all leads up to the book coming out on July 11th. And the goal is hopefully all of this leads to a large boost in sales on the first day, or pre-orders is the other thing we obviously want. Because the bigger the initial sales, it attracts more attention. It might hit the charts on something perhaps, and that also gains more attention, which also then leads to more sales. So all of this build-up is mostly focused for the first day. There will be some PR afterwards as well, but this is the initial push. It's a lot of raising awareness because there's so much stuff going on out there. There's so much entertainment, whether it's comics, books, TV, films, anime, video games. I myself this month have just been sucked into the new Zelda game, so I'm going to be spending hundreds of hours on that. So raising awareness, telling people about my book, getting the name out, getting the title out, which is also unique, is really important. So I'm pushing it hard on social media and every other platform that I can, and through every other avenue. So in the meantime, whilst all of this is going on, I'm also waiting for my edits to come back on book 2, and I'm writing book 3, and I'm about 50,000 words into it. And this is a bit slower going than before because I still have to do research when I'm looking into setting the story in different parts of the world that I don't know anything about. I want it to feel accurate enough that the local flora and fauna and the clothes and the temperature and anything else that I can find gives enough of a feel for the place without it feeling, there again, like I'm just listing tons of information. So that's slowing my pace down a little bit. The other thing is the fact that it's the third book in the trilogy. I want everything to tie up in a satisfying way. I want the character arcs to feel satisfying. Now, some of this can be modified when you come back and do edits. So I'm trying to just get it down at the moment, and then the real work will begin. But even so, it's still taking me longer than I would have liked. So I'm going to have to dedicate a bit more time and some more evenings to working on the book. With all of the other things going on, work as well, I think my own personal reading has slowed down a bit, and I'm just not reading as much, which impacts my writing a little bit, because if I read a book that I'm really enjoying, it inspires me and makes me want to get on with my own writing. And I just read a great book, so I'm on a bit of kind of a book hangover from that, and now I'm on another book that's totally different because I needed a palate cleanser, but I'm kind of struggling with it a little. So now I need to find something else that's going to be inspiring to lift me up and then make me want to get back and crack on with my book. So I need to do that soon as well. And all these things feed in. Like as I said, I'm playing Zelda. It's a great game, lots of fun and really inspiring. And it can become a time suck, but equally it becomes a bit of carrot and stick motivational thing that if I get my words done for the day and for the week, then I can spend time playing the game, and I can't just go and play the game if I haven't done the writing, because it is a job. My writing's part of my job, the best job in the world for me. I love it, but still it means taking time away from other things. So once I've done the writing, then I can go and play a bit. The other thing I wanted to talk about is that with everything that I'm doing, with all of these interviews and articles and blog posts and, everything, all of that promotional activities, obviously because I have a team that I'm working with at my publisher. They set up a lot of these things. Some of them have come to me direct, but mostly it's through them and all of their hard work. And yes, traditional publishing is much slower, but I also have a day job. I also have other commitments, family and so on. So I don't have the time to dedicate it as much as if I was self-publishing, where you arrange everything yourself. And I have a really fantastic team of people that I work with at my publisher, Angry Robot, who are very, very busy, but they work really, really hard in getting the word out there, approaching people to try and get me an interview or a review or something like that. And so I just want to acknowledge all of the work that they do behind the scenes that never really gets recognized, or they never really get named that often. Someone had previously asked me if being a traditionally published author, or even self-published author, if you could do it and be anonymous, as in you don't need to have a presence on social media or anything these days. And realistically, I don't think you can. Some people aren't on certain social media platforms, and that's fine. But I think a minimum is a website. And it just shows you some of the stuff I've been talking about. And obviously, every time there's an interview or a blog post, I'm retweeting it. I'm posting on Instagram, on my Facebook page, and YouTube channel, all of this stuff to try and just spread the word out, because there is so much noise and because there is so much going on. If you reach a certain level that you don't need to do any of this, then that's great. You can take a step back. But there are just so many books and so much entertainment out there. You kind of have to do that. And it is extra work and it does take you away from the writing. But unfortunately, it can't be helped. It's just a part of the job that's required these days. And of course, fans also want to know a little bit about you as an individual. Some do, some don't. Some don't care at all. They just want to pick up the book, read it, have a great adventure, and that's it. They don't care about the person, they don't care about their politics or their views, and nor particularly should they. But some people, it's really important to them. They don't separate the work from the person. And as ever, the best thing to promote a book is word of mouth. All of this promotion leads to hopefully one person picking up a book, reading it, liking it, and telling their friends about it and spreading the word. And that's how some books have been absolutely made. All of this PR goes out and hits the audience, and some then just start talking about it, which generates more, and so on. And it perpetuates, and hopefully a book does really, really well. So the next few months will be busy. There is going to be a lot of stuff going on. And by July, I then might actually get a little bit of quiet time once the book is out, to focus purely on writing book 3 and editing book 2. I may do an update next month, I may not, it depends on what's going on, but hopefully that gives you a little bit of insight in what's going on with me and my writing at the moment, which is just, there's a lot going on. So that's all I'm going to talk about for today, but I'll be back very soon with another video.